Welcome back, innovators. I know it's been a little while since we've made the last video, but I want y'all to take a look at this recent one known as Nomad Capitalist, which, by the way, is an expat channel. And I think this is the first time in my channel's history that we're doing a video reaction of that guy that actually inspired Nomadic Path, by the way. This man right there is none other than Andrew Henderson, which, by the way, he is an author, entrepreneur, and somewhat of an international venture capitalist. Do I agree with all of his takes? I say about 90 plus percent, which is a big deal, by the way, but his channel is pretty much in the top three, along with What the Expat and How to Beast and Leisure to Men. So check out the video. We'll do some commentary, and then we'll see if the future really is here after all in the post-America era.
The world is becoming unpredictable, and most people are just not ready. If you watch this channel, because you want to be one of the people who is ready. And we've been telling you for years that any number of black swan events, from wars to pandemics to God knows what else, could reduce your optionality, your ability to keep your family safe, your money safe, your business intact, your life the way you expect it to be. And right now, that threat is that the Strait of Hormuz, where the world's oil and fertilizer and all sorts of other stuff that we need to survive, much of it goes through that, is closed due to the latest American war. And so the question becomes not, in times like these, do I need a second passport? But what do you do as an individual when stability is no longer guaranteed? Because this is not just about having a plan B. It's about understanding fundamentally how the world is changing and how your first passport is going to impact you in a world that is not as stable as the one you've been used to. So let's talk about that and what you can do. And so if the people that run your system, the country that you live in, the place that you call home, can't guarantee stability, the question is, why are you betting your entire life on that one system? Remember, citizenship is an identity, it's infrastructure. And if you hold a Western passport, US, Canada, Australia, what have you, you've been told basically your entire life, all those other people are savages. We're the country that is stable. We're the place that can keep you safe. You're not seeing that domestically. Crime rates in places like New York City or London are crazy, but you're not seeing it internationally either. And so your citizenship shouldn't be an identity in 2026 in a world that is geopolitically changing in drastic ways. If you have any interest in being part of a global world and escaping a decaying empire in whatever Western country you live in, your citizenship simply cannot be identity. It has to be looked at as infrastructure. My name is Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomadic Capitalist. It's a company that helps people get not only second residences and second citizenships in countries all around the world to protect themselves and build that infrastructure, but also to reduce or even eliminate their taxes by living overseas, diversify and protect their assets overseas, and basically just get insurance against their own country. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com if you'd like to be a client. And for decades, the system was pretty simple. The system works, and someone powerful keeps the system that way. What we've been telling you from day one here, way back to like 2012, is that brands die hard. The United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, these are all brand names. Like Coca-Cola, if they ever go to business, it's going to be a slow, painful death. And yet, eventually...
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. I think you brought up a very good point, is that some of these Western countries that have dominated the world stage for several decades are literally a name brand, and the US is a fairly good example of it. I would say the most recent example of them all. Now, the only reason why I picked the US is because it's where I was born. But I think he brought up a very good point with the multipolar world being formed. And I think Cyrus Jansen talks about it all the time with the rise of China and all these BRIC nations, which, by the way, we'll do a video reaction to that guy sometime in the near future. But I do think he actually makes a good point. And funny enough, he actually is the biggest inspiration of Nomadic Freedom Forum because of his new multipolar ideology, which I think is a smart idea. However, despite all of that, I have a few disagreements Obviously, I mean, let's be fair, everyone's going to have disagreements and different viewpoints, but if there's one thing that we can't disagree on is that the era of the US empire is pretty much coming to an end. That's one thing for sure that we can all agree on. That's one thing. But the question is, how does it end? That's the real question that nobody's asking at this time. But we've been hearing this over and over again for a really long time. People like Ron Paul, George Carlin, and all these guys that predicted the future of the US, and even George Orwell to some point. For those of you that actually haven't read 1984, it's a great book, but man, is it very dystopian when you look back on it. But I truly think that we are entering a time of the post US era, with the dollar collapsing in real time. So the best thing you can do is to expand your viewpoint and your financial future and everything else. That's all you can really do at this point, at least at this time, especially with the era of mass surveillance, which is a big deal right now with the data centers, vlog cameras, which I think I've talked a little bit about it in some of my live streams, of course. You probably may have seen something about Palantir in the YouTube short, which could be pretty much anywhere right now because it's a relevant topic that people are still talking about. I don't think empires are meant to last forever. I mean, if you look back in history, when was the last time an empire lasted for eternity? Yeah.
Are you tired of your corporate overlords owning you? It's time that you own your freedom with RetroFocus 85. It will save 20% of your entire order, regardless if you're new and old customer. You get to apply this promo code on nomadicpath.com. And if you act right now before September 15th, 2026, you will actually save a significant amount of money, your freedom and liberty, and your life. Act right now before September 15th, 2026.
We can think of is the Chinese dynasties and Egypt. And those are the only two we can think of right now. You don't know why that is? It's because they're the oldest civilizations that are still alive, maybe except for that one tiny country that is not named with an I or a U. It's a different name that I totally forgot about. But if you want to type in the comments the oldest country living right now, type it in down below. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on that one. But let's be very fair. Nothing's meant to last forever. The future is the future, and we got to accept the reality. And that's what this video is all about, regardless of what wealth class you're in. Yes, this is meant for 8 to 9 figure entrepreneurs or more, but this is also a wake up call for the average citizen as well, and those that are trying to make a business like I am right now. And currently, I'm still there. But once the profits and revenue just come up, the goals become much, much clearer, and the picture becomes a lot clearer than last time.
It'll happen all at once. We're seeing those countries move in that direction because in 1950, sure, you think like, hey, the system in the United States works. It's a pretty good place to live. When I was born in 1984, the United States was rated the best place to be born. Why? Someone powerful was keeping it that way. But that deal's not the case anymore. Does anybody really think in 2026 the United States is the best place in the world to live? That it's the safest place? That it's the most stable place? That it has this kind of omnipotence where they can make sure like all of its citizens are taken care of? It's just factually not the case anymore. And yet the brand of the United States or Australia or Canada or what have you, being stable, will continue to live on inaccurately until finally it gets killed off when it becomes so readily apparent that it's no longer true. In the wake of this whole Iran war, I watched Tucker Carlson talking about Donald Trump's speech, where Donald Trump was supposed to come out and quell the markets and say, hey, don't worry about it. We're gonna wrap this war up. And of course, Trump went out and it's like, actually, we're gonna hit them very hard. And so I don't want to go over the speech. I want to go over what Tucker Carlson said about exactly what's changing in the world. Now, Tucker Carlson and I, I'm sure, disagree in a fundamental way, even though we kind of come to the same conclusion that the United States is an empire that is dying. Tucker Carlson is a nationalist and a populist. I guess he's moving or buying a house in Qatar, and good for him. Now, Tucker Carlson and I get to the same point. The U.S. empire is dying. It's going to hurt Americans. My view is
No
go where you're
kidding.
treated best. Get out now. Have optionality. His view is make America great again. Stay and vote, and tell your leaders to do a better job. Seems like that hasn't really worked very well, at least in my lifetime. But I thought it'd be interesting to go over some of the key points. And the first one is power is not about strength. It's about control over outcomes. So this is about, Trump's speech, the Iran war, like why is the U.S. not just going in in 4 days they solved the whole problem. Iran is weak the way you've been told. Like Iran was just knocked out. Iran's actually fighting.
Also, voting can only work if the people are willing to work together. But again, we have our disagreements, but he's definitely right about optionality and mobility in the long run. But you gotta know when to get in and get out. And I think that's the point that I don't think anyone's talking about right now. And no, I'm not Nick Fuentes or whatever it is, but you gotta know and smell the air about all these things. And I think best case scenario is to leave the country, and worst case scenario is that you're trapped with last minute options, which I think turns into a nightmare. And I think we've seen it throughout history over and over again. I mean, each country has its own time, and next thing you know, it goes into the sunset. And just how it is in history, unless something different has happened, of course.
Back, and some people say they're kind of winning. But Tucker's point here was power is not about strength, it's about control. And basically, destroying things is easy, maintaining order is hard. And so, in your lifetime, the United States and other Western countries were the ones that could keep systems running and basically, keep charge of things in an orderly way. Well, it's not really happening anymore. Right now, they're just going and saying, hey, this will be easy because there's this brand name. The United States military can go in and take out anybody. I don't think anyone thinks the U.S. military could beat China if they ever went head-to-head. It seems like, nobody's won in Afghanistan. We've known that. But now it seems like, Iran actually put up more of a fight than anybody expected. And so this whole kind of brand of the U.S. has strength by controlling outcomes has kind of died. Like that was something that worked back when my grandmother was alive. In her, youth. It's not really the case today. And so most people assume that their government is in control because it's strong from the military and GDP and influence. But what Tucker's saying is the real test is not that. The real test is, can the government keep the system working when it's under pressure? That means trade is flowing, energy is moving, it's not stuck. People's energy prices aren't shooting through the roof. Prices are stable. Borders are open and things are relatively at peace. And so if a government can't do that consistently, then what you thought was certainty is basically just branding. And so if your entire life is based on living in a country built on that assumption, then your passport, your tax system, your access, it all has to be questioned because what have I been
Exactly right. And I think he's brought up a point that not very many are really thinking about right now. And as someone that's actually been questioning the US for pretty much about 3 years since 2023, I do have to say that the country that I thought was the best is not really the best at all, even though in the last one I showed y'all the American Constitution booklet right there. But even though it's a great historical document, not everything is going to last forever. I mean, our institutions, our governments, and eventually economics and everything else is all going to falter to a superior country. And let me be very clear, it's already happening. It's just now we are starting to recognize that problem pretty much already at this time. So the best thing we can really do pretty much right now is to recognize that we have a problem And the problem is our debt, war spending, poverty, job losses, expenses of AI, which I think now the mainstream media is talking about it because they thought they were going to cash in on this AI.
If you enjoy videos like this, and you're actually interested in videos like this one that just happened recently, do me a favor, like and share and comment down below and subscribe to this channel right here and right now. With that in mind, I'll see you in the next video, Innovator.